Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
I'm Shideler, the Kayak Lady, and 14 years ago, 15 seasons ago, I put my kayak in Little Bass Lake up by Marcel and the Clubhouse Lake chain, never dreaming eventually I'd paddle another 1,006 lakes. But I was driven by curiosity because I'm 50% Russian and 100% curious, and I just wanted to get on the water, and the best way for me to do that was in a kayak because I'm too little, and just not big enough or strong enough to carry a canoe. So my former husband and I made this kayak. It's a Pygmy Goldeneye. It's 13 feet long, 22 inches wide, weighs about 35 pounds, and I can carry it, about a quarter mile before I really start sweating or need to set it down because it's just too heavy. In a kayak, you're sitting right on the water, and the wind doesn't play with you as bad. You stay drier. You can't get as much in a kayak, and they're a little more awkward to carry, but you can really sneak in and out of bays and coves, and you can get right next to the shore and right on top of wildlife. And otters and loons, they're really curious. I don't think they're as afraid because you're really close and they just think maybe you're a big deer or something swimming in the water. Had a stare down with a wolf at an access. That's a story in the book, The Kayak Lady. I've seen moose out there. I've had otter pop up right at the tip of the kayak. One day when I was paddling, I had the paddle in and accidentally hit something, and a muskrat popped up right at the end of the paddle, and he got up and he gave me a dirty look. That was kind of a deal. I've seen loons swimming underwater. I've seen beaver swimming underwater. Seen bass in their beds. Picked berries right from the shore in the kayak. It's like a drive-up organic restaurant or something. I wanted to get out there, but the big motivator was I wanted to get on the water. In this land of 10,000 lakes, 1,007 lakes in this county, I just wanted to be independent, an independent woman out on the water and explore. And even though I'm an extrovert, I really like quiet time out on the water. And this was one way to do that, and it's very meditative, very rhythmic. I've always wanted to learn to meditate, but because I got so many ants in my pants, I can't. So the rhythmic, paddling is great. It's just like cross-country skiing. The kayak was used by the Inuit people, the people of Greenland, and they use these as a transportation. And I think I've read where actually the dad would paddle the kayak and the mom and the kids and the dogs would go into the tip or the tail, and they had these long, sleek kayaks with very narrow paddles. They would use this as a hunting tool because you can get right up close to things. The Greenland Eskimo roll, they figured that out for survival because they were out on the ocean. I'm just paddling on small, calm lakes. Just pick the prettiest kayak, that's the one to buy. People always say, what kind of kayak should I get? And the real advice is, get your bottom in as many different boats as you can, because we all would take a different boat. This boat, a small boat, is made for people, under 5 feet, under 110 pounds. And if someone bigger gets in it, I've literally seen this happen, they've got in it and flipped right out. You need to get into a boat that feels good on your bottom and your back, that's stable enough for you, that isn't too big. I've been in boats where I just feel like a pea rolling around in a bowling alley or something. So get in a boat that is comfortable for you, and then also think, do you want to portage this boat? Are you going to leave it on your lake, or are you going to need to pick it up and take it to different lakes? If you got the grandkids, or things are going to be a little rough, you probably don't want a wooden boat. You'd want a rotomold or plastic boat. If you really want to move ahead sleekly in the water, you probably want to get a fiberglass boat. They're heavy, they're a little more expensive, but they're absolutely beautiful, and they just cut through the water like a knife through hot butter. I've got a wooden boat because it's light, and I needed a boat to fit my special size. But get in as many boats as you can. Go up to Spring Creek. They'll take you out on a mine pit or something. They'll have 6 or 8 boats. Then you can try them out. The deal is, this project would have never happened without the support of the community. My family, my friends, the community. People have jumped on this project. Who knows why? Maybe because we all love the lakes. But through the years, many people have helped me find lakes. They've come and paddled with me. This is exciting. We live up here because we love the outdoors, and it's an opportunity. People have always said, you know, I'd like to paddle with the Kayak Lady. Well, here's the opportunity to do it. And I just embrace that. And you know, they say it takes a village, but in this case, it takes a county. And after all these years, I've been taking notes on the side of maps, and that has become a book, and it's called The Kayak Lady. And it's got 21 chapters, 19 snippets, and 40 full-color photographs. And I took the photographs in the book unless I'm in them. And you can get more information. Go to marythekayaklady.com. You can order the book there. You can read a little bit more about the Kayak Lady. You can see photographs. You can see photos of my mother, 88-and-a-half-year-old Goldie, who's gone skydiving on her 82nd birthday.
I'm Goldie Shideler. I'm the mother of the Kayak Lady. I had no idea how enthused she was about all this and everything, but you know, once she kind of gets started, she's going to carry it through to the end and go from that. And of course, I live in Arizona, and so I'm only up here for the summer to cool off instead of hitting, you know, all that heat. But I think it's wonderful that she could do that and go ahead, and it looks like we're going to have a big crowd.
We're gonna head on home.
So now it's more like...
All right, let's go, 1007. In the first place, I didn't set out to write a book, but I was encouraged to take notes on the side of the topographic maps of all the things I had seen. And then as it evolved, pretty soon it was all the things that I felt and experienced, and sometimes what happened on the way to the lake or who I met, that kind of thing. And so I was encouraged to paddle all 1007 lakes. My intent was just to, you know, get to 50 new and different lakes a season. And then people said, well, I hope you're keeping a journal and I hope you're writing a book. So for the last 4 years, I've been serious about writing the book. In the last 6 months, we've really been serious. The easiest thing about this project was actually paddling 1007 lakes and writing the book. And the tough part has been editing the book, but I've had a wonderful editor. I never felt like I wanted to curl up in the fetal position and suck my thumb in the corner. You know, she was very kind. So revising the book, editing the book, and getting it from where I thought it was done to the printer through a graphic designer and getting it back. And the book is beautiful. The Kayak Lady, it's 8x8, 40 full color photos. And I'll tell you, the other day when we picked it up at Bang Printing over in Brainerd, they brought the pallet of books out, and I opened up that first box and pulled the book out, and when I saw it, I burst into tears because it was so beautiful. And someone came out of the printing company and they bought a book right in the parking lot. So we made a sale right in the parking lot. It was wonderful. My brother says, why is your signature so messy? But I've been practicing because I was hoping there'd be a lot of books inside. So it's really messy, but nobody can imitate it. I don't want to get this boat wet. Oh, see, even after 1007, new things happen. Even monkeys fall out of trees.
Let's go! Go for it, Mary!
1007.
Push off and on the way down.
Initially, you know, when you start a project, you never quite know what it's going to grow into. But this project didn't start as wanting to kayak all 1,007 lakes in Itasca County. It grew out of a strong desire to just want to get on the water and just go out and explore and just to have some alone time, get out and feel the breeze, see what the underside of a lily pad is like, go out and listen to the loons. When loons are close together, whether it's a parent and a chick or a pair of loons, they have a very intimate call. Woo, woo. It's this very intimate, soft call. And I think they're just checking in with each other to see if each other is there. And you know, I would have never heard that or known about that if I wouldn't have been on the water, quietly paddling the lakes. You know, we all have a dream or dreams inside of us, and we all have a quest inside of us. And I encourage people to follow their dreams because dreams do come true. My mother and I have a shared bucket list. My mother started her bucket list when she was 80 years old. She's got about 70 things on that list, and she's done about 50. My bucket list probably has 100 things, and I've probably done 30. There's a lot of potential to follow your dreams and to get out, in my case, get out on the water. And the things I learned about myself, it was a wonderful classroom. The things I learned about the world around me and Mother Nature, what I really learned was to keep my mouth shut and my eyes and ears open and to just observe what is out there and let that apply to the rest of my life. When I had the opportunity to be alone and to be not forced into my own thoughts, but have the opportunity to go into my own thoughts, it made me be still, it made me be quiet. And what I observed in nature, I was able to apply to the rest of my life when I would quietly paddle along the shore of these lakes. And I usually paddled very close to the shore and looked down into the clear water. Not all lakes are clear water, but in those clear water lakes, and could see the bottom and see the pattern of the sand that the waves had left, sometimes to see the tracks of blue herons, other times to see clam shells or dead crayfish or rocks or old reeds or wood on the bottom or pine cones, pine needles, and saw the patterns. It reminded me of the labyrinth of my life. And when I looked into the water, and no one asked anything of me, but I could just stare into that water and realize, wow, here's how this works. It helped me to see myself more clearly and more honestly, and it helped me to be brave to look my monsters in the eye. And I was asked by the Itasca County Soil and Water Office here in Grand Rapids and by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency in St. Paul to take water clarity readings. I used a Secchi disc, which is a white dinner plate sized disc. It's on a calibrated rope. Every 6 inches there was a mark, and also to take depth readings. And a lot of those water clarity readings are going to be baseline readings for lakes that, you know, the DNR or Itasca County Soil and Water had no readings for. And he just simply, you know, I would try to go out to the deepest spot, which, you know, when you look around a lake, it all looks the same depth. You don't know if it's 6 inches or 106 inches. So I would just drop the Secchi disc over the side of the boat, and when it hit bottom, if it did, if I had enough rope, then I would count how many feet deep it was, and I also would look to see where was the last time that I could see the disc in the water, and then we knew the water clarity. And so those are baseline readings. Some of those readings would help with trends, but because I visited most lakes just one time, I have just one reading. But a few years ago, Itasca County had more lake water readings, more water clarity readings than any other county in the state. So the Kayak Lady did that in her spare time. You know, one of our greatest resources here in northern Minnesota are all these beautiful lakes. And it's my intent that we keep these lakes as clean and pristine as possible. And by taking water clarity readings, if that helps us follow one of those trends or understand better how to preserve our lakes, then I'm all for that. And by doing water clarity readings, It was a way for me to volunteer my time, and it was also a way for my project to have more credibility, and also a way for this project not to be such a selfish quest, because I could share with others some information I had gathered.
We're here for Ages in the Bovey Coleraine Youth Center. We're here to support Mary on her 1007th lake. We're involved with Take a Senior Fishing. We go out on boats with them, and we do other projects like the Empty Bowl. We're part of the Greenway Key Club, so we do like Empty Bowls project, and we do conferences down in. We just had a conference down in Proctor.
We're here with Ages. We're the Itasca area Ages. It's one of 10 communities that involve youth with seniors, and we work with Take a Senior Fishing here in Grand Rapids area. Ages stands for all generations engaged in stewardship. And so that's what we're doing here today, because we wanted to, Mary's from Grand Rapids here, and we really wanted to wish her well and congratulate her, because like 7,800 lakes is amazing.
Yahoo! This is my book, The Kayak Lady, and this book is a memoir of my 15 seasons of paddling the 1,007 lakes in Itasca County. And this book talks not only about the experiences I had on the water and getting to the water, but it talks about the healing in my life. And we have 40 full-color photos in the book, and these photos were taken on the lake from the kayak. And here we have an otter that popped up right in front of the kayak. Actually, there were 4 otters, but I was busy blowing my nose when they popped up, so I missed that. But this, I'm thinking, is probably the daddy otter. He was pretty serious about getting me off the lake. And these stories come from my experiences and notes that I took on the sides of my map. This photo I call Squished, and it shows 2 of 3 eastern kingbird eggs that had hatched, and this nest was hanging right over the water. Just about hit it with my shoulder as I paddled by. Here's a fun photo, and this is Mystery Lake, one of the last lakes that I paddled. My motto is always have your camera with you, because you never know what you're gonna see. This project really honed my skills and helped me become a better photographer and a better eye. But I wanted to write because a lot of us do want to write a book. And if we're photographers, we do want to have the photo go along with our story. So they complement one another. This is a funny photo. I just had a little boy at the house, and he looked at it and he said, "A 2-headed turtle." This was a perfect reflection on Elp Lake. This was about a half-hour hike in. That turtle just didn't want to move. One of my favorite plants out in the bog is the pitcher plant. And this is the part of the plant that actually looks like a pitcher and holds water. And when you're out in the bog, or when I was out in the bog, I would take time to examine all of these plants. And if you put your finger inside the pitcher plant and pull it up, you'll feel these hairs that are pushing downward. So if you were a little bug and you went in, you'd have a slippery slope right down into that water, but it would be almost impossible for you to crawl out because these hairs would be pointing against you. Mother Nature is very clever. This photo was a fun photo because I actually heard the action before I saw it. This was up on Mead Lake, up between Effie and Togo, and I heard a hummingbird behind me and to the side, and didn't realize I was so close to these blue flag iris. And as I started to take photos of this hummingbird and the blue flag iris, the wind came up and started to push the kayak. So I ended up kind of doing this sideways back bend with the camera and just kept snapping photographs, and here was a hummingbird feeding on natural food, blue flag iris. So that was really neat. There's a photo in here that took me 11 years to get, and I'm pretty proud of that photo just because it took so long. And I often ask people, what do you think this is a photo of? And very few people guess, but this is actually what it looks like when a beaver slaps the water. And this was evening. If you want to see beaver, good time to go out just before the sun is setting. And this beaver was patrolling, slapped the water, and the water flew. I don't know how many feet high, maybe 10 feet high. People really like this photo, a sunrise on Bowstring Lake, misty, you know, warm water, cool air, the sun was rising. Pretty exciting, Bowstring Lake. So one thing I learned was to look carefully and look closely and look at the little things. You know, seeing the bear in the creek was exciting, seeing the cow and calf moose was very exciting, but what was most interesting and kept my attention longer were the tiny things that I saw, the little bog plants or the little swimmy things in the water. You do want to have a life jacket and have it that fits, and you want to be comfortable. You always want to take water with you. You always want to tell someone where you've gone and when you're going to be back. You may want to carry pink ribbons if you're going exploring. A GPS is great, but pink ribbons, batteries don't wear out. Take your camera for fun. Take a hat. I always had a sweater and a raincoat, and I always had food because sometimes that 20-minute excursion turned into like 5 hours and 20 minutes. And eventually, yes, I did get a cell phone, but a lot of places I went, there wasn't reception. The book takes place through the seasons. Here's an autumn photo of Beavertail Lake. But the chapters talk about the experiences, and sometimes the most interesting thing that happened on the lake didn't actually happen on the lake. It happened going to the lake or coming from the lake. Sometimes the people I met or their dog. So the book chronicles what happened. You know, not every day in northern Minnesota is sunny and 72 degrees and calm water. To paddle the 1,007 lakes in 14 years, I had to make use of all the soft water season that I had. And so a lot of times I'd start paddling in April, one time even in March, but usually in April when there was still ice on some of the lakes. Paddle all through the spring and summer and autumn. But a lot of times I'd paddle right up until freeze up. And, you know, people were very supportive in the community of this project. And, you know, there was about twice I thought, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this, but I always kept going because the community was behind me and so encouraging. And I hit that 750 mark of lakes, and I just kept right on paddling. Next thing I know, I had paddled 900 lakes, and then I knew somehow I would paddle all the lakes. And it was the help of Willie the Minnow Man, who knew where the ponds were, Stan the Trapper, other people that would give you water, let you use the phone, give you directions. A lot of people have told the Kayak Lady where to go. So without the help of the community, this would have just been a little tougher. So I really appreciate everybody's support. You know, some cases it takes a village, but in this case it took a whole county. Initially, I thought I would just go out and learn what Mother Nature had to offer. But what really happened over 15 seasons of paddling is I learned about myself. When I began this project in July of 1996, I was a married woman. And now 15 seasons later, I'm a strong, independent, single woman. And there was a lot of time in there that I struggled, a lot of time I had to learn. And I learned that if I keep my mouth shut and my eyes and ears open, Mother Nature will reveal some of her most intimate secrets. And when she does that, I learn truths about the world and I learn truths about myself. Mother Nature is not going to be rushed. She's going to work on her own time frame. A lot of times I wanted things to hurry up and get done. It's probably just my nature. But what I've learned is you may just have to take a deep breath and let it evolve and just trust the process. And now I crave to be on the water alone. In the beginning, I wanted people to be with me all the time. I found an inner strength. I found out that I could do this. And I got in touch with my insides, which I hadn't been in touch with before, but I got in touch with my insides to the place where I've made friends with myself. I've put on my big girl panties. I've screwed my courage to the sticking place, and I invite everybody to do that and follow their dreams. Dreams come true. I never dreamt I'd really finish all 1,007 lakes or that I'd write a book, but I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it. I'm just a small town girl. Northern Minnesota, everybody's got these dreams inside of them. Just take a deep breath and do it.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.